Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. But it's a pleasure to be here at Cloud Bazaar. Thank you so much for joining us today for what I hope will be a great interactive session on the e-commerce opportunity we're all seeing ahead of us. I am Arjun Pandey. I head the .store domain extension, and we're a part of the team at Radix. Radix is a new domains registry running some of the largest extensions like .store, .site, .tech, .online, and we have close to 5 million domain names under management. Specifically for .store, today we have over 500,000 domains registered. And as we go along in this presentation, I'll share more data on where we're at and what we saw over the last year or so. So we kick off. And in today's session, we will share the top e-commerce trends that we're seeing in the market, the direction this space is taking, and the amazing opportunities that exist for us. This can be directly tied to what you can do in terms of creating a better e-commerce experience for your customers and clients, or for yourselves, because e-commerce is becoming ubiquitous. So we'll kick off, and please add in your questions as we go along in the session, and we can get to those towards the end. Let's kick off with a recap of what it was like in the pre-pandemic era. It's hard to believe how things were a couple of years back and how much has changed in this period. But we will look at the situation pre-February 2020, and then what has changed as we all face the pandemic. What shifts did we see in behaviors once the pandemic hit? And also, what are we seeing today in terms of a new normal? At an overall level, what was the impact, specifically on e-commerce websites and the resultant value potential on the table? So global e-commerce was at about 3.5 trillion in 2019 in terms of overall sales. And e-commerce retail sales accounted for about 13.6% of all sales. In terms of buyers that were responsible for these sales, in 2019, that number was close to about 1.9 billion globally. And e-commerce websites pre-2020 were at about the 7 million mark. You can see that shift here from Jan 2019 to Jan 2020. And the growth rate was at about 20%. So e-commerce already was seeing decent traction. In terms of .store specifically, we were looking at a above market rate growth of about 35%. In 2019, we had 180,000 domains itself. So fairly strong sort of growth trajectory for the product, indicating an acceptance in the market that obviously propelled it at a faster rate than what e-commerce was growing at in that period. So this was a brief, quick overview of what things were like pre-pandemic. But now let's take a look at some data points for us to get some more background and context of what happened starting mid Q1 last year in 2020, which is when the pandemic hit. So again, you've probably heard this before, but different institutions and research bodies have slightly different perspectives on what kind of acceleration the lockdown and shutdowns had on e-commerce. IBM, for example, pegs this acceleration at about 5 years. Adobe anywhere from, I think, 4 to 6 years. But this report, the chart you see on screen, which is a McKinsey report, pegs the e-commerce acceleration at about 10 years. That's effectively 10 years of digital and e-commerce penetration and acceleration in just a couple of quarters. And even in Europe, while we saw this at a global rate, and you'd expect that from some of the growing economies, and of course North America, but even in Europe, we saw a very high sort of acceleration rate, and even outside of e-commerce. The push to going online was very strong as everybody felt the impact of the pandemic. Europe had a very high digital adoption rate before the pandemic already. Looking at those numbers, 80% digital adoption rates are hard to sort of post a high growth rate on. But despite that, we saw in a couple of months acceleration take place that would have otherwise taken a couple of years. And this growth and acceleration in digital sort of adoption was not limited to just an industry or a couple of industries. You'd expect this to be, the usual suspects, food, maybe travel, or in some instances retail. But you saw this change in behavior across industries. And this chart shows you the massive growth in the number of industries that were accessed online as the pandemic sort of hit. So here's a quick question for everybody. We saw the e-commerce website numbers between 2019 and 2020 and the growth they were posting. But any thoughts on what the e-commerce websites growth rate was in Jan 2021 compared to 2019? It's a lot more than you'd expect, but effectively, you're looking at a jump of over 100%. 2020, end of 2020, you're looking at about 13.5 million e-commerce websites versus 6.3 million in 2019. And while retail e-commerce grew across the board and across platforms, it's these standalone websites that posted some fantastic growth. And again, what I can see from public sources now, this number has continued to grow. So there is no plateauing of this growth in e-commerce websites and e-commerce sector in general, which is a very, very encouraging sign. We've been looking at the global context so far, but adapting this to the Indian scenario, the impact here was also quite substantial. E-commerce sales in India grew by over 50% between 2019 and 2021, going from 40 to about $66 billion. As you can see, if you look at growth rate year on year, specifically within the e-commerce sector, India tops the chart. We posted a growth rate of about 27%, while the world average was 16.8. So this e-commerce growth story is very strong in India as well. And again, posting a higher sort of growth than the global average. But again, tying this back to Dot Store and where we were, we also saw some stellar performance. We saw the number of e-commerce websites double on Dot Store during this time. I know I briefly mentioned that in 2019, we did about 180,000 domains registrations. We added 100,000 domain registrations just in Q2 in 2020. Registrations and revenue both peaked, and it was higher, more than 50% higher than the last few quarters. So again, you see the same trend where the growth here for Dot Store is outpacing the general market, which anyways is growing at a fairly rapid rate. So again, we've sort of looked at what and how things were pre-pandemic. We looked at a quick overview of what the pandemic did to this entire sector and the kind of fast acceleration it brought about. But where are we now? On a social level, we seem to be sort of settling in, and this pandemic has become a part of our lives. But are we seeing that sort of stagnation happen? Well, no. The thing is that e-commerce is here to stay. It is not a fly-by-night phenomena by any means. And small and medium businesses are seeing the need to add e-commerce to not just survive, but also to grow. This post-pandemic boom has become ubiquitous, and e-commerce has become ubiquitous. Everybody is looking at means and ways to transact online, to monetize their online presence, and e-commerce is the path to do that. Here's a quick view of data from the US Census, and what it shows us is that starting 2021, there has been a massive increase in business applications, higher than ever before. Some of it could be because businesses are coming back online and coming back and reopening, but a large part of it is just because of new entrants and the boom that's happening. And especially in the retail sector, the green sort of spike that you see on the chart is the retail sector, which is showing absolutely phenomenal growth. So where are we today? Putting all of that into perspective, global e-commerce is expected to reach 5.4 trillion by 2022. That's up from 3.5 trillion in 2019. More than a 50% jump in just 2 years, and at a very, very large base to start off with. 19.5% of all retail sales in 2021 are expected to be via online purchases. That's a growth rate again of about 46% compared to just a couple of years ago. And there has been a very large influx of global buyers that has come in. But more importantly, buying behaviors have changed where existing buyers also are buying a lot more online. And people are just a lot more comfortable with it, which sort of shows you and ties into the growth rates that we've been seeing across this sector. Putting this into the Indian context, if we thought a 50% increase in e-commerce sales in 2 years was big, the Indian e-commerce sector is projected to grow nearly 2.5 times in the next 4 years. We're looking at about 145 billion in retail sales by 2025, and this is a massive opportunity. The future of e-commerce is stronger than it has ever been. And it is our hope that we can support customers as they start to build their online stores and embark on their online journeys and capitalize on this opportunity that's in front of us. Speaking of opportunities, we can move on to some e-commerce trends, and we can look at what the market looks like, what do customers want, and where these opportunities that I'm speaking of lie. Well, number one, small businesses are embracing e-commerce in a big way. E-commerce is no longer considered optional. It is critical to success. Personal brands have taken their businesses online for better reach, for better sales. In 2019, 70% of small businesses were in the process of ramping up digital transformation. And a lot of data points that we're seeing across sources show that more and more businesses are looking at e-commerce as absolutely vital. And the new businesses that come into being, a much larger proportion of them are going to be digitally capable from the get-go, which basically shows a massive opportunity in terms of this influx of new people in the e-commerce sector, along with a very high push in the very large existing base of small businesses to adapt and become digitally capable. So it's a two-pronged sort of support, and that's why we're seeing these amazing growth numbers in the e-commerce sector. Second really important trend is that mobile commerce has accelerated a lot. Mobile sales are expected to make up almost 72% of all e-commerce deals. 3 out of 4 consumers say that they buy from their smartphones because it saves them time, and that makes it imperative for sellers to optimize mobile and provide a seamless e-commerce buying experiences pretty much across all screen sizes and types. Desktop, mobile, tablet, everything needs to deliver, and this is a great opportunity for all of us because it expands the scope of what we can do and deliver a much better customer experience. So mobile shopping support is going to be vital for e-commerce businesses moving forward. Another major trend is global commerce. Going global does not mean that you need a local presence across the board, across different geographies. Online shoppers are increasingly looking outside their own country borders and local borders for purchases. For example, the graph on the right that you see shows countries from where Indians bought goods online. And this behavior is flowing both ways, where buyers are accessing sellers that are not necessarily local, which means that customer experiences now need to start meeting global standards. It becomes really important. Things like product market fit, language localization, analytics to identify insights. These are all key factors for success moving forward for anybody who's selling online or associated with the e-commerce domain. Again, presents a massive opportunity for all of us that are in the business of enabling e-commerce. And a byproduct of this is that with globalization and lack of localization, by access to people across borders and cultural and language barriers, you need to stand out, but at the same time, not lose what you mean or what your brand means in translation. So domain names like .store become extremely globally relevant in this scenario. A .store, a website using a .store, the word .store, effectively anybody across the world understands what it means. If you see a website with a dot store, whether that website is hosted in the US or in India or in Japan, you know it's selling something, which becomes important for e-commerce sellers. What we've seen in the past, local names like, if your website's on a .in or a .co.in or a .co, you may not always know what that website stands for. This trend of being able to be understood but also differentiated is really important, and .store delivers quite fantastically on that. And then another trend is that there is an increase in the dependence on e-commerce platforms. No-code platforms, easy to use, drag and drop editors are really what users are looking for. We've all heard of the massive growth stories at platforms like Shopify, Wix, Etsy, these ready-to-use platforms. And that ease, along with a reasonable price point, is exactly what users are looking for to go online. If we look at the data point we saw a few slides earlier about the number of e-commerce websites going up, doubling within a very short span of time, an ad of about 6-7 million websites, this is where it's coming from. And for those folks that are starting out, that are starting small, no-code platforms, easy-to-use platforms, reasonable pricing become absolutely key. And the existence of these platforms has also provided a massive fillip to the entire direct-to-consumer sector. It's allowed these small merchants and sellers to go online and work with e-commerce. For example, this Black Friday that just concluded, Shopify merchants accounted for 1/3 of all sales. I think they clocked close to $3 billion in sales dollars just across Black Friday. And that's the impact of independent merchants. And this massive growth in the number of merchants means a massive growth in the number of customers out there that need support and enablement in order to do business. Effectively, as these folks get online, users are going to want to differentiate themselves. They will want to differentiate themselves with great brand names because that's what allows them to stand out in the internet real estate sort of market. And nothing says you're in the market more than to sell more than a .store domain. And that's where we sort of see ourselves fitting in. We saw a 50% increase in registrations in 2020, and our live websites jumped by over 400%. The surge in numbers at .store is largely attributed to the growth in the e-commerce sector, but also because of the awareness and acceptance of new TLDs like .store. As I mentioned earlier, the value, the power of specifics really comes in here. When I am on an Arjun Pandey .store, you know exactly what that website is selling. You as a seller, I as a seller, don't need to spend an extra step, an extra touch point to try and tell you that, hey, while I'm selling amazing things, I'm selling on this website, which on the surface may not really allow you to know whether it's a corporate website or a store. So in effect, over a period of time, not only are you differentiating yourself from the herd, but you could potentially be also directly saving time and effort and marketing dollars by providing a very specific differentiated offering to anybody who's coming to your storefront to buy. But it's been a great story in terms of what's happening in the e-commerce sector. There's a lot of potential here, absolutely no doubt. But why should you enable e-commerce for your customers? Anybody who's in this sector, either if you could be directly dabbling with e-commerce, or you could be an enabler like .store. But what's the importance? What's the value here for us? Well, first of all, like we said before, e-commerce is here to stay. It is an integral part of any business, and it will continue to grow and focus as we move forward in time. So capitalizing on this opportunity, offering customers what they need can be key to not just gaining new clients, but also building deeper relationships with existing customers. That focus on e-commerce at this pivotal sort of point becomes extremely important. Another interesting aspect on e-commerce websites is that of all e-commerce websites that were detected in 2020, 41% of them were created before 2020. That shows a trend of existing websites adding e-commerce capabilities. So while a lot of new e-commerce businesses are going online and setting up their e-commerce websites, there's a very large percentage of existing customers. And this presents a big opportunity for people enabling e-commerce, for people who are building websites, people who are doing branding and design, people who are providing technical expertise, to give their existing customers added tools to add more functionality to this existing website, which again directly translates into better relationships with customers and more customers. As we can see, small and medium businesses need to enable e-commerce capability. The demand exists, so it's a question of how do we now cater to that demand. The importance of e-commerce to success and continued growth is a non-question at this point. And small businesses are getting smarter. Everybody's catching on to these trends. For example, in Canada, reaching American customers was seen as a top 5 benefit of e-commerce, which ties back to what we were earlier talking about in terms of global commerce. And a lot of these small businesses realize that e-commerce is critical for success because it allows you to transcend borders and access new customers that might find a fit with or a value for you for the product you're offering. So offering specific services, offering specific capabilities to enable e-commerce allows you to build a stickier customer base with a very high ticket value. More spends, potentially longer term customer relationships. These are folks who are in business, and their success becomes anybody who's in the background enabling them their success as well. So moving e-commerce websites, enabling them, allowing these sellers to go and become successful is a huge process. So if one were to provide the right tools, the right service, these customers will stay and become customers for life. So here's an interesting sort of tidbit. We ran a survey with e-commerce businesses, and the biggest issues that we heard from them were, one, that there was a lack of structure and high quality information resources. The second big issue that these sellers spoke of was a shortage of low cost solutions to get online, and just a lack of expertise to navigate through what was required to sort of go online and be able to sell. And thirdly, the need to stand out and differentiate themselves in this crowded e-commerce space. If millions of new websites are coming online, how do these small folks differentiate themselves from the competition? And this is where DotStore again can come in to bring about that additional value, a highly brandable name, a clear call to action. But keeping all of this feedback in mind, the DotStore team is focused on helping e-commerce users alleviate these concerns. And we are directly accessing perspectives and prospective entrepreneurs, sellers, to address this huge need gap that exists. An example of us directly reaching out and working with the on-ground entrepreneur base is the Idea to Store contest. We just wrapped up this exciting Instagram-led contest to encourage and support the entrepreneur community. This contest was sponsored by Shopify, and we offered a host of amazing prizes. There was $30,000 in cash, mentorship with thought leaders, stalwarts, amazing entrepreneurs in their own right. People like Seth Godin, who's obviously a marketing guru, Boss Babe, who runs a vibrant community of entrepreneurs on Instagram, 3.5 million strong, last I checked. John Lee Dumas, who runs the award-winning Entrepreneurs on Fire podcast. So access to these folks, not just for new entrepreneurs, but even for established entrepreneurs, can be very valuable. And that's our way of sort of not just extending financial support, but also wherewithal to these sellers, these entrepreneurs, to enable them in their e-commerce journeys. And the winner also got a direct entry as a participant on David Meltzer's 2-Minute Drill show, which airs on Amazon Prime and Bloomberg TV. So a lot of potential eyeballs as well. And it's a holistic program designed to bridge those gaps that we spoke of in the last slide, to enable these folks, give them the wherewithal, both financial and otherwise, to go out there and start their e-commerce ventures. This is a quick overview of the judges that participated in the Idea to Store contest. And again, our objective was to further the goal of enabling e-commerce entrepreneurs. The Idea to Store contest received an extremely encouraging response across the entrepreneurial community. We reached over 10 million impressions. We had over 50,000 people visit the contest lander, and we received about 5,000 entrepreneur entries to the contest in just a few weeks. So great potential, a great validation of what this community really needs, and the value on the table. So if you guys are interested, you want to check out, how the magic unfolded, just go to Instagram and check out the Get.Store page, or check out the hashtag Idea to Store, and you'll get a good overview perspective of how this contest touched a lot of entrepreneurs who are going to be building in the future, and whose products and websites you will definitely come across in the next year or so. Talking of people who are building things of a vibrant namespace, this is a quick overview of the kind of usage Dot.Store sees. So Magazine.Store is the primary storefront of Meredith, which is a massive corporation. They run, they're a magazine powerhouse. So Time Magazine, People Magazine, Good Housekeeping, Sports Illustrated are all owned by them. And their primary website for these websites of magazine subscriptions is Magazine.Store. Emirates, the airline, uses a Dot.Store to sell the Emirates merchandise. And this is a great use case of how specific websites can and TLDs can be tailored to suit specific functions. While there could be a corporate website, which Emirates uses as a com, they use a Dot.Store to sell their merchandise on their store. Arguably the biggest sports celebrity in the world, Cristiano Ronaldo, he sells his line of fragrances on a Dot.Store, CR7 Fragrances Dot.Store. Liam Payne, the One Direction band singer, uses Dot.Store as his personal website to sell his merchandise. We've seen a lot of great traction within the within the YouTube influencer community, because these guys are sort of ahead of the curve. Even before the pandemic, the value of monetization, of utilizing your base to generate a revenue stream, I think the YouTuber influencer community was the first to realize the value of that. And you see that here as well. Dude Perfect, one of the biggest YouTubers with over 50 million subscribers, have their merch on dudeperfect.store. Mark Rober, who's a massive tech and science influencer, uses a Dot.Store as well. And this is just a continuation of the kind of varied user base that we have. Lots of specific use cases across artists, corporate websites. PewDiePie, who at one point was the biggest YouTuber in terms of subscribers, also uses a Dot.Store. So a vibrant community, but the idea is to not stop here, to try and work with entrepreneurs that are coming into the scene. Work with them directly and enable e-commerce, because the opportunity that lies in front of us is just massive. I'll end the session with that. A lot of data and information from my end. I think that's pretty much it then. I really do appreciate all of you while taking the time to be here, and I hope the information I shared and the trends that I spoke of can be helpful to all of us. And I just reiterating that this is a massive sort of opportunity on the table for us, and there's a lot of potential for us to do some amazing things as this sector continues to grow at a very high rate. I see a question from Yogesh. I'm sorry. Are these so Yogesh is asking, are new TLDs SEO friendly? And the answer is absolutely yes. We have an example that I haven't shared before in this presentation, but we have had a lot of instances where Dot.Store domains they end up on the first page of Google for very specific results. So I think Nundle is a great company that works with wools and yarns, and they feature on the first page of Google because they're able to optimize what they offer along with the idea of it being a store and selling online. So there is no data that says that Google prioritizes a specific type of TLD over others, so a com or a classic TLD over new TLDs, or vice versa. There isn't. But the potential that exists to utilize words along with specific TLDs that also mean something provides a great opportunity to maximize SEO. I think there was a contest that was run a couple of years back, which was very specifically an SEO challenge, and the person who won the contest won it using a .tech domain. So absolutely, these are SEO friendly, and if you are smart with the way you use them, there's a lot of potential there for you. Excellent. I think that's it from my end. Like I said, thank you very much. Appreciate it, and have a great day. Bye.